Let's go.
This is the Ray and Adam Show, brought to you by inplayLIVE. The Ray and Adam Show, a podcast where Ray and Adam, two professional sports bettors and brothers, talk about all things sports investing, sports betting, and how to profit in the long run from betting on sports and fantasy football. And now, the Ray and Adam Show, brought to you by inplayLIVE.
Let's go. What a week. What a week. What a week. Man, Razor, how you doing, buddy?
Good.
I like your hat today.
Yeah, I wore it for the special occasion that is next week.
Yeah. So we might as well start off with the bad news for the show. And the bad news for the show is that Ray and I will not be doing a show next week because we are going to be on a epic bucket list golf trip to Bend and Dunes, Oregon. It's the #1 golf resort on earth. And so we're going to be a little busy. We will not be doing a show next week. We'll be golfing at for guys like Ray and I, this is as close to Disneyland as you can get. It's the greatest. I've already been 3 times. Anyway, quite a week in sports. Razor, you and I had the rare opportunity to spend a weekend betting together. So for those that don't know, Ray and I live in different cities, but this, of course, was Canadian Thanksgiving this last week. So we packed up the fam, Chevy Chase vacation style, and rolled into Lumsden, Saskatchewan, and we had a great day. We saw Razor's new setup with his 84-inch TV and 85. Sorry,
that's Ocho Cinco.
Oh, right. Ocho. Hey, speaking of that, Ocho, if you're watching, we're ready for you to have on. I know he's been watching our show under a pseudonym. Doesn't want to admit it's him, but he's know
a burner.
We know it's Ocho. So we're ready to have you on. He's just too shy, I think, is the issue. It's
Christopher Robin is on this call. That's fucking Ocho Cinco.
Guaranteed.
You're not fooling me, Christopher.
No, for sure. That's him. Yeah. So we're going to, anyway, the weekend was awesome. You and I both had a fantastic weekend betting on sports with a number of the inplayLIVE strategies. I think we should talk about our favorite bet of the week, the one we won on. So we didn't call this out because it kind of happened live, but what a bet this was. And it was actually my son Fletcher that spotted it. Not that he's doing any betting, he's underage, but he was looking at some things and he spotted it. So the last time the Bills were in a blowout, what they did is they played nothing but James Cook at running back for the whole fourth quarter. Like they wouldn't put anybody else on the field. They wanted to get him some reps. And we noticed that James Cook anytime touchdown number was plus 1,400. And sure enough, he got his first career touchdown in the fourth quarter of that game. And so that was a little, well, I think Ray, you and I combined made a little over $5,000 on that touchdown.
It was such a good call. Like the precedent was already set. The last blowout game, they went to him. I think he got like 10 to 15 touches that game. And then sure enough,
all in the fourth quarter. Like it was every play.
Yeah. I had a book that would only take next touchdown, and I got bailed out by that fumble on the goal line by
I didn't realize
big tight end.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm forgetting his name, but yeah, the backup tight end there. He fumbled on the one.
Yeah.
Nice it was
nice little payday there.
It was awesome. Also we hit the Giants comeback. We were watching the game in London, and we hit the Giants comeback when they were down a touchdown. I think like plus 1050 or something stupid. Like it was a crazy day. You and I went back and looked, and I think we had like 6 or 7 wagers that we won that were plus 900 or better in that day. Like it was just a crazy day. And actually the Saturday, the college day was awesome too. We just had a fantastic day. It was, or weekend. It was a very, very, very profitable 48 hours. We should do Thanksgiving every weekend. Maybe.
A lot of fun too.
Yeah. That was good.
Let's bring on Taylor. So
yeah,
you might have seen on BR. Taylor, you want to flip your camera on there? You might have seen 2 weekends ago on BR Betting. They posted a slip with a $23K cash out. It was like a $10 bet that Taylor had placed the night before It was worth 73K. I shouldn't tell his story, but I ended up just seeing him on Instagram, and I reached out because I figured he'd be a pretty good guest. Seems like a cool dude. Why don't you tell the story, Taylor?
Well, first let's get a little background on you, Taylor. Like, $73,000. Are you are you independently wealthy? Is $70,000 just something you just toss on the pile with the rest of it, or was this an amount of money that might mean something to you?
Little pocket change. No, yeah. $74,000 definitely would change my life. I mean, I think it would change a lot of people's lives. And the thing is everybody's going to argue that the $23,000 cash out they offered me probably would have changed my life too. That's, you
could have maybe even afforded some curtains.
Yeah.
For that window. That bright light. Like I feel like I'm staring directly into Earth's sun right now.
That's that Arizona sun right there. I don't know what to tell you guys.
Jeez, Louise. This is actually I've never got a suntan doing a podcast before, but I'm gonna today. This is great. Oh, thanks, man. That's great.
The 23,000 was nothing to shy away from, and it was something that I definitely had to think over. And no, I'm not independently wealthy, and definitely that could have been life-changing money. And as far as all that goes, the bet itself, everybody it's funny. Everybody gives me a hard time about, man, you placed a $10 bet. And I'm like, listen, we don't unit shame. Me and my boys, we talk about this all the time. We don't unit shame. Okay. I don't care if you're placing a $5 bet or a $500 bet or a $5,000 bet. The matter of the fact is, as long as you're betting, you're one of the boys, and so the $10 bet was honestly just because it was late at night. I was like, my boy always does a pick'ems. He does a pick'ems pool. We're bartenders and he does a pick'ems pool, and it's $10. And I'll tell you, last year I won it I won it 2 or 3 weeks last year. And I won it 2 weeks in a row and almost went perfect.
Sorry, won it meaning you just beat everybody else in the pool, or batted 1,000 and you got everything right?
No. Just beat everybody else in the pool.
Got it.
Didn't bat 1,000, didn't get everything right. But I was like, well, 1 week I was 2 games off. And the other week, I think I was maybe 3 games off. So I got close, and so my thought process was, well, I only won a couple $100 on those. I have a chance of winning 70,000 here, off a $10 bet. And so I just said, I'll be honest with you boys. I almost put $20 on it. I really did. And I'll tell you why. It's not like the reason is because
only that last guy would have tipped you a little more for the beer you served him. Eh?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm OCD, man. I'm OCD. And so my account was an odd number. I think it was my FanDuel account, and I'd hit a bet the night before. It was a little parlay. I had on a $25 bet, and I had 270 in it. And I wanted to get it down to 250 because I didn't like the 270. I wanted the 250. I could throw a $50 bet or something. And so I put the 20 in, and it says the payout. And I'm like, man, you're just stupid. Don't put a $20 bet on a $15 parlay, a 15 leg parlay. Nobody hits these. So I backed it back down to 10. No, stupid.
It sounds like you saved yourself $10 there. That was the best decision you made all week.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, yeah, but maybe 46K would have been enough to cash out.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, maybe.
There was a number.
Let him tell a story.
Sure. There was a number on what my cash out number was. So how this story goes, right? I make this bet 2 a.m. I'm laying in bed. I'm actually on a FaceTime with one of my boys, and he's making some crazy player prop parlay, and he's talking to me about it, and I'm ignoring the hell out of him. I have no clue what he's saying, but yeah, man, that sounds good. Yeah, I'm sure he's gonna score. Yeah. And I'm scrolling through, and I'm just hitting, and I'm picking games, and I put it together, and I'm like, this looks good. Send it off to the boys. Screenshot, send it off to the boys. I say, here, boys, 15 leggers. I'm doing this the rest of the season, $10. All I got to do is hit one, right? And so at this point, I'm still up. It's late in the morning. The game for my time starts at 6 a.m. The London game was a 6:15 game. And so I don't sleep. I'm like, you know what? I want to watch this game anyways. Vikings, Saints, I believe. And I'm not sleeping. So I'm watching this game, and I'm tired. But I'm like, it's a good game. And it'll be a good game. You get the double doink at the end, which
it was an amazing game.
The funny thing is, and I've been telling people this, the funny thing about that double doink I wanted the Saints to hit that field goal. And I'll tell you why. I had another parlay going. At this point, the 15-legger is not even on my mind. I have another parlay going, and I have a chance of winning $1,600 on this goddamn Saints game, and I need them to hit this field goal. And so they miss it, and I'm like, man, I'm like, that sucks. That's how my day's going to go. So then, all my boys, we get together typically on Sundays. I work Sunday nights, so sometimes I don't go out, but we get together and we go watch games. Dave and Buster's, wherever did we decide for the week. And so yeah, we ended up being at Dave and Buster's, and we got all the games in front of us, and we was probably 10 or 12 of us, hanging out, and everybody's rooting for a different team and rooting for different things. Everybody's got bets going on. Nobody's rooting for the same stuff, and it was funny though, because one of my best friends out here, he had some games going on, and Dave and Buster's didn't have all the games that we wanted to watch on the screens in front of us. So we kind of separated from the group for a while. And we went over and we were watching some other games, and he had, like, I shit you not, the complete opposite of what I needed, and it's my boy, and I'm rooting him on, but I'm kind of looking at my this 15-legger at this point, and I'm starting to see things are hitting. And I'm like, those guys are winning. The only thing that wasn't hitting, I think at the time, was the Bills. Bills. I had Bills money line.
Right.
Because this was 2 weeks ago against
Baltimore.
Against the Baltimore, the Ravens, yeah.
And so they're down, but that game, that game wasn't over, even close. You knew that game was going to the end, and that was going to be somebody was winning that game, and it just as much could have been the Bills as the Ravens in that. So wasn't worried about that, honestly. I was worried about just finishing out. The Texans started coming back on the Chargers, stuff like that. I'm like sweating games. Well, things start to hit, and I'm like, okay. And I'm looking at my cash out now, because, I'm like, hey, were they going to offer me something? And I think the first one they offered me was like $800, and it was.
And so, sorry, this is after the morning slate of games. So we've played the London game. You're coming in on the morning slate, so you still have the afternoon.
The end of the morning slate, the first couple of games are starting to end. Okay. So I hit one, maybe hit two, and then I'm getting an $800 cash out offer. Then it jumps up, and it's like $1,500. And of course, all these guys with me are like, cash out, bro. It's $10, cash out. I'm like, well, these games are going the way I want them to. Let's see what happens. And so we watch.
I can totally relate. I got a story to tell you after this.
You do,
I can feel you the whole way. That's why, your story meant something to me. But keep going.
And I think a lot of people can maybe relate to that. Like, hey, I've had this cash out, and everybody's telling me to do it, but I have a feeling, and through the whole thing, and I'll get back to what I was saying, but through the whole thing, I'll say, everyone I need to understand it was a gamble from the get-go, right? Anytime you put a 15-leg parlay in, that's a gamble. That's not like, there's no guaranteed money there. Like, this is a gamble. So why would I
basically we're at you got on deal or no deal without all the beautiful women and Howie Mandel. You were fucking there. So you're not fucking leaving for $100 or $800.
It wasn't about no, absolutely. My briefcase had the 75,000 in it in my mind. Right. Always. I picked the right case, and I'm sticking with it. And that's how I rode that. And so, we cash out, we don't cash out, we keep riding, and it jumps up and down. There's some games going back and forth, and the morning slate comes, it gets over, and we're on a great, we're on a great path at this point. And I'm like, okay, this is sweet, man. This is sweet. We got the next afternoon games. Obviously I live in Arizona, so a bunch of Cardinals fans. The Cardinals game is coming up. We had that, and then the Patriots Packers game, which I'll tell you was the Packers were the heaviest favorite that week. I've had to explain this to a lot of people. That week, that lineup was magical in a lot of ways, because there were so many close games. It's actually very much similar to this week. I think there's a lot of really close games as well. So your lines aren't crazy, right? You're not getting these Bills minus 900 against the Steelers. You had the biggest favorite was the Packers over the Patriots at minus 460. And I took the Packers. In that game, you talk about a sweat. And that friend I was talking about, that buddy of mine, he's a Pats fan. He's from Boston. Biggest mass hole I've ever met in my life.
Biggest what?
Mass hole.
Mass hole. Adam, you can relate to that.
Yeah. Oh, I want to get a t-shirt with mass hole on it. That's so good. And nothing is truer, because there's no collection of assholes anywhere in the world like at Patriots games. They are absolutely. And I would apologize to any Patriots fans that are listening right now if I was sorry for calling you all assholes, but masshole is even better. It's the truest thing I've ever heard. Collection. There's never been a bigger collection of assholes. What a great line.
Absolutely. I love him to death. Don't get me wrong, but yeah, absolutely. So he's sitting here and, and mind you, at this point, they know what's going on. I mean, everybody's aware the cash app's going up and this game is now, getting to the end of it. And I would say it was looking favorable for the Packers. The Patriots looked like they had that game they were running through them and this guy is fucking cheering on his Patriots. And I guess I can't blame him, but I'm like, bro, I told one of my other buddies, I was like, listen, I love him, but I might kill him. I might, if he cheers for his goddamn third string quarterback one more goddamn time, I might kill him. And, that
interception right before halftime made a lot of people on this call very, very upset. I can imagine the sweat with what you had going.
Unbelievable. And then it gets into it goes overtime and Patriots get the ball back on like the 50-yard line. And I'm like, dude, it's over. And I've got to go to work at this point. I'm late. My boss is texting me and I told him luckily like I said, I work at a bar and the owners of the bar I work at, they're good friends of mine. It's actually a brewery and they're great people and I've known them for years. And so obviously we have a good relationship. And I told them, I was like, hey, listen, I've got this crazy thing going on. They know I'm a big gambler and a big sports bettor. And they're like, listen, we get it, but also like, we're busy. So, make your way here when you can. And I was like, sure. So I'm like, guys, I got to go to work, man. I got to go to work. Whether I win $75,000 or not, I got to go to work. And so I'm on the way out the door and I can't leave. I mean, I can't take my eyes off the TV, but I stepped away from everybody because I just needed that moment of myself and watch the Packers get a stop and they get the ball back and they start to make that final drive to kick that game-winning field goal. And I work my way back over to the boys. And as I walk back, it's like a celebrity walked in the building. They're all cheering. Everybody's staring at us like, what are these fools doing? And we're causing a ruckus in the whole entire place. And I'm updating. I'm like, the cash out's at 15,000. Whatever. And so it finally hits. And I think after the game, cash out got to 17,000 and now I have to go to work at that point. And everybody's like, bro, you better hit that button, cash that out. And I said, absolutely not. Sunday night game. Believe it or not, I'm wearing this beautiful here Cooper Cup jersey. I am from Kansas City originally. I'm a Kansas City Chiefs fan. So that Chiefs
So was
game,
our other guest today.
Well, that's awesome. Yeah. Chiefs Kingdom right there. But that game was for me, I mean, against the Buccaneers, that was no, walk in the park, but I believed in my Kansas City Chiefs coming off a tough loss. I knew they were going to rebound and have a game. And they did what they needed them to. And got that dub. And after that, everything kind of got crazy. And I'll tell you how Bleacher Report picked this up. People keep asking me, hey, how did Bleacher Report? Well, I'll be honest with you. I followed Bleacher Report. I followed them for a long time, the BR betting site. And I actually last year had a bet that I had sent them hoping to kind of get some publicity on it. It was 11-legger, similar situation, 11-legger. And it came down to Monday Night Football. And it was the Titans Bills game last year where Josh Allen slips on the 4th and 1 on like the 4-yard line.
Yeah,
I took Bills money line and I watched Josh Allen slip away. And at the time, I'm telling you, it was probably $1 bet to win like $1,500. But I was $1,500 and I watched him slip that away on a Monday night game. And that hurt. And I thought that was the biggest loss I'd ever taken until last Monday. But and so it got crazy. I hit up the BR betting guys and so I already had some communication with them prior because of some other parlay or whatever. And so the guy saw it and he responded to me. He goes, man, this is crazy. And then he's like, I'm gonna post this. And just a heads up, depending on, this is before the Chiefs game. He goes, depending on how this game goes, we'd be interested in doing some things with you. Maybe have you come out to Vegas and we'll meet you there and we'll watch the game. And so everything kind of unfolded from there. And that's, once it all got picked up on there, I mean, things got crazy. Things got absolutely wild. And,
just so you know, we've got about 6 minutes left for this story. Perfect. If we could make sure we get it wrapped up.
Wrap up here. So
why don't we? Sorry, carry on.
What questions you guys got about it? And let me.
Well, I just want to give you a little perspective on too. I think let's bring John on too. And I'll give you a little story of where I was just like you, and then I'll just back it up. So it was 5 years ago. It was week 4, same week. And I remember that going in because I placed a parlay that I don't really place parlays anymore, or at least not as often as I used to. But I was like, week 4, I gotta fucking do it. I just felt it because it was a time of year. And back in the day, I used to think the only way to make money betting on sports was to hit that lotto winner. I thought that I would take my plays along the way, build a bankroll so that I could buy those lottery tickets. And there was 1 week 5 years ago, I had a 300 and some K parlay that the cash out it only got up to 13K because I didn't get through the afternoon slate on that Sunday. Everything else ended up hitting, but I
with
lost
some huge dogs. Oh yeah.
Like it was, I don't want to get too much into the details, but the point is, I thought I had a little bit of debt I wanted to pay off. And I thought this was my way to do it, was to hit this big parlay. And then fast forward a couple years later, I meet Pacer, who's sending these internet marketing for inplayLIVE. And then he showed us all how to make money basically every single week betting live in the moment. So it was really empowering moment where I knew that I could beat the books without the big ticket. And there's nothing man, what you did was so cool. It's why everybody does it. You get that rush, or sorry, not why everybody does it. Why, 99% of sports bettors do it. Yeah. But, if you ever want to learn, man, I would absolutely we got sort of connected on Instagram. I would love to show you how to do it. And, maybe time to plug the Ray and Adam link. You just join inplayLIVE and hit our code, but it's real. You can do this without, that big win.
Yeah. Every sports bettor anywhere, you're going to take the odd parlay, right? Like the big one. And of course it's fun. It's shit. It's $20 to go see a movie now. You can have way more, fun for a $10 parlay, right? Way more fun than going and see fucking Lord of the Rings or something. It's the best. It's the best. So, but the other thing about this story is that part of the reason that the books are going to promote a story like yours like crazy is they want everybody making bets like these, right? Because the books are going to make way more on parlays than they are on the stuff that we're doing. Yeah. So, So, Taylor, first off, thanks for coming on. If you want to stick around and we're going to do something pretty cool for the second half of the show. We're actually going to teach people how to break down a game from a player props perspective. So if you want to stick around and use the info that we're going to do here today to maybe make a bet for yourself this week, by all means, you're welcome to stay. But yeah, in all seriousness, if you ever want to, or you or anybody wants to learn about inplayLIVE, reach out to us on Twitter or Instagram. Both of those accounts are at Ray and Adam Show. And on our Twitter page, you can find the promo code where you can sign up for inplayLIVE and save yourself $50 a quarter on your membership. So, and yeah, it's the difference. What you're doing is rec gambling. What we're doing is consistently winning with value. And so we don't like to use the G word in what we do here, because we're getting value on everything. We're on the side of the house that wins more often than not. Doesn't mean do every time, but we're on the side of the house that wins more often than not. So
why don't we, before we introduce John, Taylor, take just 2 minutes and wrap up your story just finish it up, and then if you want to stay, I'd love to have you to chat with John.
Sure. Well, boys, first off, I appreciate you guys having me on. Listen, this has been quite the experience. The whole thing, right, from get go to the end, has been quite the experience. I've learned a lot. I'll tell you. I've been a gambler my whole life. I've been a sports bettor really a lot more in the last couple of years. And I've gotten more into it. And listen, I've not always made the best decisions in my life, obviously. But I've had a hell of a ride. I learned a lot, and it's guys like you out there that, they have these proven systems and things like that really can take it to the house. And I think that's so important. This isn't a profession for me. This is a hobby. I'm a hobbyist.
Yeah.
And like all my hobbies, it's expensive sometimes, but it's always nice to, be able to take one back and just through everything I've met, the people I've met and the things that I've done in the last 2 weeks with this, I could see it, being something where I maybe start to make it more serious and try to be more consistent, winning. And, and it probably won't be through the $75,000, parlay, but boy, if it didn't get a cool story out there and maybe just, teach some people, just introduce people to sports gambling in general, because I think that if nothing else, it's a great hobby and it's a lot of fun, man. And it gives you a reason to watch the games that you don't want to watch. I don't want to watch.
We're going to be
Broncos Colts game that's going to have no touchdowns, but I do if I have a bet on a no touchdown score. It just gives you a reason to watch the games. I love sports. I love money and I love all the above. So like I said, it's been a pleasure, guys. For anybody that doesn't know who I am, you can check out the whole story on my Instagram. I don't even know what my Instagram ad is at the moment, but it's out there. Maybe we can get it posted somewhere and come check it out and send me a DM. I'm always responding to people. Boys, I'll hopefully be in touch with you guys. And I'm probably stick around and hopefully check out the second half of the show, guys. So
yeah, awesome. So thanks, man. Yeah, thanks for coming on, sharing your story. That was I wish you'd have won. It would have been even better.
Oh yeah, it would be a lot cooler for us all. Maybe I would have bought some blinds and maybe have a cooler space to be doing this from. But
those damn Rams, eh? Yeah. Anyway,
gotta love them, gotta hate them. I don't know. So,
yeah,
awesome,
for sure. So awesome. Thanks, Taylor.
Appreciate it, guys.
So now we're going to, and what a great segue talking about, using sports betting to bet on games that you wouldn't normally care about. We're going to be breaking down the barn burner Thursday night classic this week between the Chicago Bears and the Commanders of Washington, otherwise known as Snooze Fest. But we're going to show you how to break it down and find the value in any game. And I'm actually really, really glad that it is a bit of a dud game this week, because we want to show you that there's lots of ways to do that. So our buddy John is on the call. John and Ray and I all grew up in a small town in Saskatchewan called Lumsden, known each other our whole lives. Johnny goes by, his nickname is T-Cat. T-Cat and Ray and I, we've been betting together for years. Like shit, it's got to be at least, what would it be? Probably 12 years that we've been doing this.
Say 12 or 13, probably.
Yeah. And then of course we discovered.
Do you remember talking about the parlay stuff? Do you guys remember the year that the Bills made it back in the playoffs? And
no, I don't remember that. What happened?
Andy Dalton threw that touchdown, which won us a parlay in our little group that we had. That was like $500. I remember just celebrating. Just loved that.
That was on a Bet Online account.
Yeah,
that was a good day. That was a good day. Yeah. So guys, we're going to try to do this relatively quickly here. So we came up with this system last year with a bunch of the guys from the Carolina Nine. And we just sort of came through this, just a methodical way to look at a game. And what we do is we start kind of at the top with a bit of a high level look at the game. And then we start going into some details. So I'm going to start, I'm just going to share my screen here. I just jotted down just a few little high level stats about this week. So can everybody see my screen? Does that show up? Ray, you can see it?
You bet.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So at a high level, we're just going to look at just basic high levels. So the Bears offense at a high level, DFL, for those that don't know what DFL is, the Bears have passed for a total of 583 yards this year. And that puts them at a league-wide rating of DFL, which stands for dead, fucking last. They are the worst passing team in football. They're a little better running the ball. So 787 yards puts them fifth, but they're 31st in total offense. You can see over here, the Commanders a little better on offense. Actually, Carson Wentz, oddly enough, already has 300-yard passing games this year, which is kind of interesting. But the Commanders are close to DFL in rushing. They're 28th in rushing. Scoring, there's not a whole lot of scoring coming from either of these teams. The stat that absolutely blew my mind, I had to go verify because I thought for sure it was wrong. Somebody just said Fields is thrown for 679. That is true, but you have to factor in sacks into passing yards, right? So when your quarterback is sacked, that goes against the passing yards. So I'm actually glad you brought that up, Kyle. Thank you. Here's a crazy stat for you, and I don't know if there's a way for us to make money on this or not, but Washington has kicked 2 field goals in 5 games. He's 2 for 2 on his attempts, but they have attempted 2 field goals in 5 games. Maybe we'll figure out a way to take advantage of that later. I don't know, but I just viewed it as a shocking stat to kick 2 field goals in 5 games. When we look at on the defensive side of the ball, the biggest weakness on the Bears defense from a high level is certainly rushing. What makes that kind of unfortunate in this game is that we've got weakness against weakness. So we have the Commanders are 28th in league rushing going against the 31st rush defense. So, maybe that will create an opportunity, or maybe, we don't know which side of the ball that'll create an opportunity, but we'll dig into that in a little bit. Commanders passing, rushing, defense, they're all kind of middle of the road, not great, but we're gonna break down the specifics. And then we also broke down the scoring half by half. So the Bears are on offense and defense are very poor in the first half. Their defense gets quite a bit better in the second half, though. They go from the 30th ranked defense in the first half to the 5th ranked defense in the second half. So they do lock it down a little better in the second half, which is interesting. But also what's interesting is that the Commanders go from the 30th ranked offense in the first half to the 9th ranked offense in the second half. So again, we go kind of strength against strength. The Commanders have done a better job scoring in the second half, but the Bears defense gets way better in the second half. So anyway, with that said, that's just a little bit of a, as my buddy Sharmy likes to say, a little pudding skin, just kind of top of the table overview of it all. So now we're going to dig into a little more. And TCAT, I know this is a site that you really like. You're the one that turned me on to this. It's called Football Outsiders, and it's where you dig in on some of the stats where you can really, really look at things like zone versus man. Where is the weakness on the defense? And so what we're trying to find now is we're trying to take the information that we have, and we're going to try to dig down deeper to say, okay, if I was the Bears and I'm looking at the Washington defense, where would I try to attack them? Where's the weakness, and vice versa? So, TCAT, why don't you talk a little bit about kind of the pre-work that you did into this game, and I'll highlight what we're looking at on this page. Oh, whoops.
Yeah, sure. So what the site does is it looks at efficiency metrics. And I know you two kind of used to roll your eyes and almost vomit every time I'd say the word efficiency and efficient and efficiency. But what it does is that it's just another tool in the toolbox where it kind of looks at every single yard gained, every single yard given up. They're not all created equal. A 3-yard rush on 3rd and 2 is more efficient than a 3-yard rush on 3rd and 10. The same could be said in the fourth quarter compared to the first quarter. So what this kind of does is takes the stats that you had before, Adam, kind of that general overview, and it just gets rid of the nonsense, garbage time, stats that don't matter because it wasn't effective during the play or during the time of the game. So when we do this and when we sit down and talk about these games and we kind of look at this stuff, this tool that you have up right now is my favorite because it looks at how a team plays against a wide receiver 1, a wide receiver 2, a 3, which is the slot, tight end and running back. And it's essentially a way that we can look at it and say, how are they defending against these players? the biggest thing here in this game, and is this game worse than last week? Is that possible that this game is worse than last week? Do you think?
They're going to try.
It's
You
got
think
to
they'll
be
get a
close.
touchdown?
Don't spoil my my pick that I was going to take later.
Well, what is it? 2-1 on no touchdown this week?
It's a little higher than that, but I actually looked at that. But anyways,
Sorry.
When I broke this down, and I like to break down all the games, it became pretty clear to me that the only way that Chicago can really do anything in this game is to break their tendency, and that's to pass. They've been running over 60% of all plays, and it's not going to work here. Washington, there's all that smoke in the background about the defense doesn't like the coach and all that stuff that's going on, but their D-line is actually quite strong, and they get after the quarterback really well. So the two biggest mismatches that I see is that their rush defense inefficiency is sixth right now, and Chicago is only running the ball about there. I think they're 20th in rushing offense. Washington's pass defense is dreadful. Like, it's somehow worse than the Bears.
I'll just show you here, and I don't know if you guys are going to be able to see this here, but Washington's I've just highlighted on the screen here. They are horrendous, absolutely horrendous. So just so you see here, we've got they're great against covering wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2, other wide receiver, which would typically be your slot receiver, tight end, and running back. So when we look at this, Washington is ranked 22nd in the league covering wide receiver 1, 30th in the league covering wide receiver 2, and 30th in the league covering wide receiver 3. Now, normally we would be absolutely salivating for that, except for they're going against the worst passing offense in football, which is kind of a funny one. So what's going to give, right? Is this going to be the game where Chicago can finally move the ball, or is this the game where Washington's defense finally isn't awful?
Who's shittier?
Who's shittier? Yeah,
it's an absolute toilet bowl. But that's the biggest problem when you look at it. You hit the nail on the head. The only way for Chicago to really get after them is to pass the ball. They don't want to pass the ball. They can't pass the ball. Chicago ranks 30th in passing offense in efficiency metrics. So, I started highlighting all of these different advantages, thinking like all these different Chicago guys could have a good game. And then to be fair and to be honest, I actually started looking at it the other way when I realized that I don't think Chicago can do what they need to do. I don't think that they're going to run any less. I think they're going to try and run. They're going to get stopped. They're facing the fourth best defensive line in adjusted sack rate. So they get after the quarterback. Fields is going to be running for his life. That's a bet that I think we should have highlighted. He's passed, I think his line right now is 42.5, around there. He's passed that in 3 straight games. He had a fourth game that he should have went over, and there was a long run that was called back.
We're talking about Justin Fields rushing yards here.
Yeah, Justin Fields rushing yards. It's at 42.5 right now. I don't want to take it pregame because I think we can get a better number live. I think when they realize that they can't run, when they realize that their quarterback, when he's scrambling for his life, he's going to start to have to run. And if they get behind in the game, it could all really line up well. So, it's kind of that IPL thing where we're flexible, we're nimble. We don't have to just jump in on a pregame bet and ride it into the ground if it's not working. So That's something that I have highlighted right now. I looked at his rushing yard milestones. I know Adam, both of you guys love some of those milestone bets. His rushing yard milestone at 50 plus is plus 145 right now. That's to gain at least 50 yards on the ground. The problem that I see with that is he's only done that a couple times. He's done that once this year, and I think it was 2 times last year. This could be the type of game where he does go over, but I just thought it was better to just kind of circle Fields. There's a lot of things I like. The one that I was going to suggest too, and then I thought of our good friend Zach Hiddle, was his passing completions over. And Hiddle's been trying to hit Justin Fields under on pass completions for, I think, 5 weeks. And they keep dipping and dipping and dipping. And like, it's like, how low can it go? I think it's pretty close to where I would look at going to the over. He did it last week. It's only his passing completions are only 14.5. This is the defense to do it against, right?
Totally.
Like this is terrible defense. I just don't know if the coaching on Chicago is good enough to break their tendency. Another just a quick point about the matchup that way is Washington is even worse defending against the 3 wide receiver sets. So it's like an 11 formation where there's 1 running back, 1 tight end, 3 wide receivers. They're allowing 52% success rate on passes. The Bears run an 11 set 66% of the time, which is a lot. But they're not getting, they're only 46% success rate on passing plays out of that formation. And Washington gets a ton of sacks. The majority of their sacks are when they're facing an 11 set. So it just, to me, this entire side is garbage. And there's nothing that I can say that I really liked pregame on the Chicago side.
Well,
so basically you just did everything that I know you to do. You point out the contrarian and then you just be disciplined, which is why you're so fucking good at this. But I mean, that's not what the crowd came to see. Like,
yeah, they came here to get their pick. I'm going to take the Fields over 14.5, and I'm going to live bet tonight. I will be taking the Fields rushing yards if it dips a little bit after a drive or two. Yeah, that's great. So now let's look at the other side of the ball, because I told you, Johnny, that I have the stinkiest, the smelliest player prop I've ever made, and I'm going to make it tonight. I'll tell you in a little bit, but let's look at the other side of the ball here. So now Washington's offense going against Chicago. So Chicago is pretty, they're kind of middle of the road defending wide receiver 1. They're actually really good at defending wide receiver 2. Where their big weakness is in the passing game is defending against the running back receptions and also the slot receptions, or sorry, slot receiving yards. What did you see on the Washington side of the ball?
This call, by the way, exemplifies like each IPL member. Basically, there's the guys that do all the work behind the scenes to get you ready to be during these games, and then there's guys like me who are like, what the fuck are you guys talking about? Just let me know what to bet and when.
Yeah.
That's true.
I love it. And I'm not always like that, but like, it's fun to just watch you guys go through this. And if you're watching at home, I just want you to know that you do not have to be this big of a nerd. You can just show up and watch. And I'm totally kidding. T-Cat, like, I fucking love the work that you and Adam do on this stuff, but I'm just telling you.
Okay.
No, I mean, it's valid points. And I think about my favorite time of the week, and it's every Sunday morning at 9 a.m. when a group of us jumps on a Zoom call, and we've all highlighted a handful of things we like for the week, and we just throw it out there. And all I hear by the end of it is Ray say, I have too many pregame bets, because he's just firing like a machine gun of pregame bets. But that's all it is we offer stuff.
We do it every week, and every week Ray says the same thing. Fuck.
And we offer stuff up, and somebody has a different opinion, and we talk it out. And yeah, it's my favorite part of the week. So when we look at Chicago's defense, the thing that I like to look at a lot is with that wide receiver 3, which is a slot wide receiver, and with that tight end. And what that tells me is they're really weak over the middle, being ranked 24th and 20th against the slot receiver and the tight end. Now, the problem we have with Washington is, and I just saw it before we jumped on, is a whole bunch of guys are out. Logan Thomas, their tight end, is out. Dotson's out. I think there's one other. So they're really banged up. So right away, I kind of looked at that and said, well, I don't love it. Curtis Samuel's numbers, I think they're a little inflated. He's been a workhorse. He's kind of like a poor man's Deebo Samuel this year, which is great. But this is where I found the bet that I want to take. And it doesn't show it necessarily in the stats that we're looking at right now. It's that wide receiver one, and that's Terry McLaurin. So what I liked about Terry McLaurin, I really tried to dig to find out what I could like about Carson Wentz this year. And in that, on that site that we were on with the efficiency rankings and stuff, when you look, the 28th ranked quarterback in efficiency is Carson Wentz. The 29th is Justin Fields. So it's a slop fest. But when I looked at his PFF passing grades, Wentz is actually exceptional on deep passes. So passes at 20 yards or more. He is in top 6 right now on deep passes, and he's ranking like 92, I believe, on deep passes at 20 yards or more. Terry McLaurin ranks 97 on PFF on deep passes. So it's clear they have a really good connection. Well, where do the Bears rank against deep passes? They're 30th in defending deep passes.
There it is.
Against efficiency. Yeah.
So you're leading into the stinkiest bet of all time.
I'm very interested. I was trying to find it today. I was looking. I didn't know who they're like who the Kroomsy was, who the 4th string running or fullback.
Fuck, here we go. I made one call. What a deep tight end on the Bills. Last name Kroom for an anytime touchdown at $1 billion to 1.
Adam used to pick guys off the practice roster just in case someone got injured in the pregame warmups.
Yeah, you jump on and say, has anybody seen him on the sideline? Is he wearing equipment and a jersey, or is he sitting on the bench? But I couldn't
calling
find
the books to get odds on guys that aren't offered.
Like, I wish I could defend myself, but it's kind of true.
So I really like Terry McLaurin. I like his over. I don't usually jump on wide receiver ones, except he's had such a unspectacular year so far. For his standards, he's hit 51.5 yards over in 4 games already. So I just think with Dotson out, with Thomas out, with the Bears being dreadful on passing defense, but especially defending deep passes, and then knowing that Wentz, the only thing that Carson Wentz is doing well right now is just chucking it deep. That's it.
So what's his long reception number?
See, I looked at that too, and that'd be an ode to Hiddle. I believe if you go down a little bit,
there you go.
Yeah, there it is,
right there.
22.5. Ooh, see, now we're finding the good stuff.
22.5.
Some good stuff.
Shit.
And same thing, like that's easy because he's with how he's grading out, he can get this no problem. So, I looked at the weather. I don't know if you guys like really dug into that or not. It's a little breezy. We could probably ask Schroeder what it's actually like closer to kick tomorrow. But right now, I think it's showing for like 10 mile per hour winds, and it's a crosswind. That doesn't scare me at all. No. That's not that big of a deal.
No, and in the bowl, it'll be half of that. Like that might be outside in the parking lot, but we don't care about how the wind's going to affect tailgating.
Sure. And when you think about this Bears defense, another tool on that site that I love is it gives you the schedule, the schedule strengths that these teams played. So the Bears, they're in the bottom third of passing defense, but who have they played? They played the Niners.
They played the Niners in a rain. In a
monsoon. Yeah. They played the Giants where Danny Dimes was in, then he was hurt, and Tyrod came in, and then Tyrod got smoked. So then Daniel Dimes came back into the game. They lost that game, but that's who they played then. And then they also played the Houston Necks and Davis Mills. And so the schedule that they've played is well below average. They did play Green Bay and they played Minnesota. Minnesota's been pretty run heavy so far. None of those teams rank in the top 10. So they've played a pretty crappy schedule, which tells me that the stats would say that they're even worse than their numbers. So that's the one thing that I really looked at that I loved. I've already bet it. I wasn't going to give out a pick unless I actually put my money on the line. So that's what I have highlighted. So I like Carson Wentz going deep to McLaurin, and I would be willing to take a look at that longest reception as well, because I think that's definitely doable, especially with the breakdown we just did.
Well, and you've dovetailed beautifully into my pick of the week. And again, I cannot this is what's so fun about this, because when we go through this exercise and we do these things start to become obvious, right? Like things start to look, really, really enticing. So would it surprise anybody on this call to find out that Carson Wentz is 5th in the National Football League in passing yards after 5 weeks? Would it surprise you that he's 8 yards behind Patrick Mahomes and 19 yards behind Tom Brady in the year? Like that would surprise some people, right?
You sound like that guy off Entourage that was like, what if I were to tell you,
hey,
that old guy?
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah. That'd be something I'd be interested in. What if I were to tell you?
Yeah, would that be something you'd be interested in?
Is that something you might be interested in, Eric? Yeah. So here are the numbers that are absolutely jumping right off the page. If Tom Brady's stretch bet for 250 yards was plus 205, everybody in the world would be on that. If you were getting plus 675 for Patrick Mahomes this week to throw for 300, well, you wouldn't be on that because they're playing the Bills. But if they're playing anybody else, you'd probably be on it. I am taking stretch bets on I can't believe I'm saying it, on Carson Wentz passing yards. I am kidding. I will be doing this. I will put half of my wager on Carson Wentz over 221 passing yards, and then I will be laddering that up to 250 and a little bit on 300. And the way that I do this is that I stack my wager in such a way so that if he hits his base number, I'm going to make a profit. And if he starts to hit these, I make a really good profit. So, take that for what it's worth, guys. Again, I cannot believe this is what the data tells me, but it's why you need to look at the data and not just, your instinct on this and that. You got to dig into it. You got to take a look. So hope that was helpful. So let's just summarize here. TCAT, you like Terry McLaurin, his receiving yards. We like Fields over 14 and a half. Sorry, was that passing? No, it's 14 and a half completions for Fields. We're going to live bet his over rushing yards of 41 and a half, but we're hoping that he doesn't do much on the first couple drives. So we can take that at a lower number, maybe, late in the first quarter, that sort of thing. And then I'm on Carson Wentz over 221, 250 and 300. We'll see if we can pull some diamonds out of this pile of coal that is this game, but we'll see. Guys, this was a super fun call. We joked in the promo that the last couple of weeks have been, like we had Lorenzo Alexander a couple of weeks ago. Last week was Matthew Barnaby. Both, like, if you guys haven't seen those shows, go back and watch them. They're freaking amazing. It was so fun to do. And then we follow it up with two guys nobody's ever heard of, but it was still a show that was just as good as the rest of it. It was so great. This was such a fun show. And guys, the reason we wanted to do this show is because these are some of the secrets that we can share. We can't share any of the inplayLIVE secrets. You got to sign up for the program to get those. So Taylor, if you're still listening, you want to learn how to make consistent money every week and turn this into something that's way more than a hobby, let us know. We'll get you in the group and you'll do very, very well, I'm sure.
Either way, stay in touch though, man. You seem like an awesome guy. I really, really enjoyed having you on today. Yeah, absolutely. And TCAT, you're probably the least public member of the Carolina 9, which is our little side group. But I think now people are starting to see just why you're such a key member of the group. You really focus on the data and the analytics, and you've even got me sometimes considering efficiency, which I just threw up in my mouth a little bit when I say that. Fucking fancy stats. But it was great. So thanks for coming on, pal. This was a really, really fun show, and hopefully this show will be way more fun tomorrow night when we win all of these bets. Hope it happens. So boys, thanks a lot. This was great. Thanks guys.
Thanks guys.
Yeah, John, thanks a lot. Thanks for coming on. See you guys later.
This was the Ray and Adam Show, brought to you by inplayLIVE. Sign up now for inplayLIVE by using the exclusive Ray and Adam link and promo code.